brain dead Joe Biden and leftist Anthony Blinken, both of them leftists, think they've scored a great victory in having Netanyahu and Israel agree to a ceasefire with Hezbollah. What a joke, a really bad joke. And again, it would appear that Netanyahu has caved in. But the fact is that this ceasefire creates a condition which is no different than a ceasefire that they had many, many years ago at Hezbollah. A 20-mile demilitarized zone occupied, if you can believe this, with UN observers and the Lebanese army. The Lebanese army is a non-entity. Hezbollah controls Lebanon. This is a face-saving measure for Joe Biden and Anthony Blinken. They're going to claim, oh, great success as they're leaving. But frankly, it's a potential disaster for Israel because Hezbollah will again re-infiltrate that area. People that live in the north of Israel can't go back with any degree of certainty that they're going to be safe to any sense across the border in Israel. It's simply a way to save face. And how did this come about? Is that Netanyahu was pushed into it for two reasons. Number one, Biden and Blinken cut off arms sales by and large. They had no stocks to re-equip. So they're basically buying time. It's a 60-day ceasefire until Trump comes back when they can get rearmed and get up to the speed of being able to fight a multi-front war. But number two, Netanyahu got scared of being indicted by the International Criminal Court. He's trying to throw an olive branch out, particularly to the Europeans in Italy, in Spain, and France, who say he'll be arrested if he comes to Europe. Can you believe that? They're going to arrest him. Now, look, I'm not a big fan of Netanyahu either for different reasons. I always thought he was weak. I thought he had a big mouth. He never carried through on what he was supposed to carry through on. He dropped the ball on October 7th. And in fact, look, was not doing his job as he was politicking to try to keep that job as prime minister of Israel. He's done it relatively well since then with regard to the war that's being fought. But the fact is that he's very weak at home as well. So he needed to shore that up. And of course, he's hoping that that'll be a bridge to have a ceasefire with Hamas, but it won't. But here's the problem. This is not only not good for Israel, it's not good for many in the Arab world, Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states. They need to have Hezbollah taken care of as well. They're a threat to the Saudi royal family, as is Iran, as is the Islamic Jihad, as is Al-Qaeda, because these are radical Shiites that frankly want to do away with the Sunni regime in Saudi Arabia. And they want the oil and they want control of Mecca, which is the center of Islam. So this is doing nobody a favor. It's a complete, frankly, sellout. It's another failure by Netanyahu. And I'm probably the only one that's saying that because everybody bows down to him. I don't think he deserves to be bowed down to for reasons of the fact that he's simply weak. And Israel wouldn't be in the position it is today if he had been a real leader over the last decade and more. So that's my message with regard to that. Now, we also see out there on the internet now podcasts by Kamala Harris boasting that they raised $1 billion, trying to placate the donors, saying, you have a force, don't quit. You have the power, don't quit. Well, they are not quitting, that's for sure. They're blocking Trump's immigration plans. Tom Homan, who is the czar, he's another one. He's going to wind up probably being a lot like Netanyahu, big mouth, but it's not going to happen, frankly. I mean, he gets in there and he threatens people. He doesn't have the authority to threaten people. He's not a member of the Department of Justice. He's not a member of the FBI, and they don't do it anyway. It won't happen. So I want people to have a bright-eyed concept of what's going on in that regard. Certainly, Trump's going to do as good a job as he can do by shutting the border when he becomes president. But the left is out there. They will throw monkey wrenches into this thing. They need to be removed from power peacefully and legally. They need to be prosecuted. Talk about an enemies list. I was watching CNN last night, the Communist News Network. I want to hear what the communists are saying. They had John Dean on from the Watergate era talking about Nixon's enemies list. Well, frankly, I hope Trump does have an enemies list, and I'm sure he does, because they are his enemies. That's a fact. And they need to be removed from power. But again, don't expect Pam Bondi, who I happen to like, she will not have the power or the authority to do what needs to be done. And if she's too vocal about it now, she won't be confirmed. This is the reality. And that's why you need a Freedom Watch. We're going to bring these criminals to justice with our citizens' grand juries, with our citizens' trials, with our citizens' convictions and sentences, with our citizens' arrests, peacefully and legally. We will find a way to do it peacefully and legally. And who needs to be held to account? Number one, Kamala Harris, for committing a fraud. And I have a lawsuit in Florida, a civil lawsuit in that regard, as a Florida voter. That is going to be going forward. They're evading service of process as we speak. But there needs to be a criminal sanction for that too, because she created the condition with her lies to have Joe Biden, a complete brain-dead criminal incompetent, ruin this country in 4 years. Then we got to go after the Justice Department leadership. That's something that Pam Bondi will not do, because she'll go to her office, literally, they'll try to lynch her at the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice is infested with leftist lawyers. She's going to have a very difficult time over there. They will wage attempted coup d'etat by trying to shut her down and leaking information that will harm her greatly. She's got a great, tough task ahead of her, and we'll back her up. I will do whatever we can to help her and the others. But we need to have Attorney General Merrick Garland prosecuted for treason against the United States. We need to have the FBI Director, Christopher Wray, prosecuted for treason against the United States. We need to have Alejandro Mayorkas, head of Homeland Security in the Harris-Biden administration, prosecuted for treason. And of course, we need to have Biden as well. I can go on and on and on. These people need to be held to account. We, the people, must do it. It's not going to happen, even in a Trump administration. I believe the president will do a good job as best as he can for the next 4 years, but he can't do it by himself. He needs the help of Freedom Watch. He needs your help. He needs a citizens' army to stand with him. Some people who are not afraid, that will stick their neck out because they love this country. Put the country first, as John F. Kennedy said. That's not what you can do for your country, that's not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. I got to reverse. That's Freudian, because that's the way it is, and that's where it's been for a while. Now it's time to do it for the country. And there are things that we can do as citizens that President Trump, because of the resistance, will never be able to do. And that is namely, try, convict, sentence, and have these people imprisoned peacefully and legally, as is allowed. Justice Scalia, again, in his case, United States versus Williams, ruled that the grand jury belongs to the American people, not the three branches of government. By extension, we control our justice system. And now it is time to join Freedom Watch. Go to freedomwatchusa.org. Contribute to our cause with tax-deductible contributions. We need more lawyers. We need more paralegals. We need more office space. We need to finance what we're doing. It's extremely expensive. There are other groups out there that do stuff, okay? My former group gets mostly documents. That's fine. Get the documents. But you need to actually have justice. You need to have these people put away. They won't do that. They're not run by a lawyer. They don't think that way. They don't have trial lawyers. We do. I'm a trial lawyer of many decades, believe me. You can see the wear and tear on my face of what I have to go through every single day, dealing with dishonest lawyers, corrupt judges, and everyone else. And that's why I had started Freedom Watch. And that's why before that, Judicial Watch, because the legal system is corrupt to the core, and that needs to be taken apart. And we need, just like Vivek Ramaswamy and Elon Musk have a government efficiency department to trim the government down, we need to also have an entity which should frankly be appointed by President Trump to revise and revamp the legal system, and also to help him get good judges, because last time rhinos were put in front of him, worthless judges. Just one example, Carl Nichols. He's continuing with the persecution and prosecution of J6 people, despite the fact that he knows that President Trump will pardon most, if not all of them. This is a Trump-appointed judge. We have several in the Southern District of Florida. Same way. Terrible, terrible district, run in large part either by leftists or rhino Republicans, the federal court there. I try to stay out of it. This is what we're dealing with. And of course, the District of Columbia, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit, and the U.S. District Court, District of Columbia, are the two worst courts in this country. They are absolutely compromised and corrupt, and much of it is the result of Trump judges. So he needs to get good judges, and he doesn't need to take advice from the Federalist Society or the American Conservative Union or other lobbyists that are making money by putting these appointments in front of him, asking him to rubber stamp them. We need to play a role and need to let him know that. You need to contact the Trump people and tell them, you need to have Larry Klayman help you with these judges. That's why he started Judicial Watch in the first place in 1994. I saw what was going on. It was bad then, but it's much worse now. So that's my message for today. Go to freedomwatchusa.org, contribute to our cause with tax-deductible contributions. Get my book, It Takes a Counter-Revolution, Wake Up America. It's Larry Klayman's manifesto on how we can help President Trump to return this country to greatness, and also let Trump and his administration know that he needs an entity, much like he created with Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, which is excellent, but he needs someone like Larry Klayman to take apart the legal system. And who knows better than President Trump how that was abused, how it was misused criminally against him. And notwithstanding the fact that he appears to be getting out of some of these cases, most of them, at least the federal ones, are those who are continuing to be prosecuted, who were indicted along with him, those innocent people that simply were trying to restore the republic to what the founding fathers wanted and did nothing wrong. Those people need legal help, and we're here to help them too if they ask for it. God bless you. God bless America. God save America. Remember, the Father and Son will only help us if we help ourselves. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Thank God, at least the wicked witch is politically dead. Kamala Harris, another brain dead moron, along with Joe Biden, the ultimate brain dead moron that destroyed this country in 4 years. Now it's time to resurrect it. Now it's time to get it back to where it was on July 4th, 1776. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me.